All right, what's going on, guys? Slightly different setting today. We're in my backyard. This car has not been here for a while, I think near on a year now. So it's nice having it back home. Basically the conversion's complete now, which is weird because now I don't really know what to film anymore. But with the 33 conversion pretty much being done, I thought I'd make a video going over the costs of the conversions, as I'm sure some of you are interested to know what the whole thing sort of tallied up to. And I thought I'd go over a few little things that I came across on the way, like building it. Honestly, the conversion was really straightforward. We're lucky to live in an age where information's so easily accessed. It hasn't really had many issues. I mean, it hasn't been running for too long. I've had issues with the power steering, and in saying that, since you guys last saw the car, the only thing that's really changed on it is 2 steering racks and a power steering cooler, which, keeping in the fashion of budget, is a BTR transmission cooler from a Falcon. I guess we'll walk around the car and I'll just sort of go through the things that are involved, the parts, the materials, and the things that are necessary to do this sort of conversion. I will say a couple of disclaimers before I start going over in prices. The prices will be relevant to the date. So if you're watching this and it's been like a couple of years since I posted it, I can't tell you if the prices are going to be accurate anymore, so keep that in mind. All prices will be in AUD as well, because we're in Australia. I'm not accounting any labour. If you take your car to a shop to get this done, you're going to be racking a much larger bill than I have. I bought a lot of the parts for this car off Facebook Marketplace. The prices are going to be a bit, you know, they're not a set price on Marketplace, and being able to fabricate all your own stuff, it makes conversions a lot cheaper. It makes working on your car in general a lot cheaper. If you ever need anything made, I highly recommend picking up the skill because it'd come in handy so frequently for me. But yeah, we'll get into it. So starting with the driveline, I've got a BF T56 paired to an Extreme twin plate ceramic button clutch. I paid $1,500 for the gearbox off Facebook Marketplace, and then I paid a further $500 for the clutch. The car has RB factory mounts all throughout it, so engine mounts, cross member, and also the accelerator pedal. I think if you tally all those up, it's like 400 something bucks. I'll add prices, of course, throughout the video, and then I'll tally it up for a total at the end. All of these prices aren't gonna be accurate off the top of my head, so I'm gonna have to correct myself in the edit. Anyway, our tail shaft is from GJ Drivelines. It's just a factory 33 manual tail shaft with the front lopped off and a new one welded on there. That ran us $500. So we've got a Stager steering rack in it as well. The factory 33 steering rack would probably be okay if you're keeping your car NA or you don't plan on making any sort of power at all. When I had it in the car, I could barely fit a 3-inch piece of tube between the motor and the input for the steering rack, so that's why we switched to the Stager steering rack, which offsets the input towards the chassis rail, which gives us way more clearance. Also to note, if you're putting a Stager rack into your car, you can't run the same offset spaces as the factory GTST 2-wheel drive rack. If you do, which I found out after killing 2 steering racks, it allows the piston inside the steering rack to protrude past one of the pressure ports, and it lets the seal in between there blow out. So you'll kill your rack in the process. Keep that in mind. Anyway, Stager rack, that was $250. For my case, I had to buy 3 of them. Also, the high-cast version of the rack fits significantly worse. So if you can, shoot for a Stager 4-wheel drive non-high-cast rack. That's the best one to go for. That one gives you the most clearance, puts the lines in the best spot. Anyway, 250 bucks for a rack. I'll pop the bonnet now and I'll go over what we've got inside the car. Bonnet struts are not included in any of the prices. So we'll start on the hot side and then move over to the cold side. We have a custom clutch line, which is basically a factory 33 line, like the exact same fittings. It's just longer. So I got that made up at a local brake joint for 70 bucks. The exhaust manifold we made in-house. That was 230 bucks of material, flanges off eBay and material from a local steel joint. We have a Pulsar 50mm wastegate on the car. I got this off my tuner for $150, which was awesome. I love cash deals like that. Previously, we had a 44mm gate from AliExpress, which was like $70 or something like that. Honestly, if I didn't need one as soon as I needed one, I would have just bought another AliExpress 50mm, because as long as you quality control check them yourself, they're usually pretty good. For the turbo, we're running a Pulsar 3584 RS, Gen 2, not a Gen 3. We got this for $770, I think. Something like that. These retail for like 900-ish bucks. We have our 3-port Macvel, which is of course connected to our Street 40 in the car. Once again, that was a marketplace purchase, so I think we paid $250. It's gonna be hard for me to say how much the dump and like the exhaust and intake and cooler piping cost, because I fabricated it all myself, and 90% of the material on this car is scrap metal I had laying around. I know if you were to buy this stuff new, you'd be looking at probably $600 in material for the exhaust and maybe $300-400 for the intercooler piping. So I guess I'll chuck those prices in. I guess that's sort of fair to say. The intercooler I had laying around, but I think I paid like $50 for this yonks ago. The radiator, we have the most Chinese radiator possible. I got this on eBay. It was listed for like $250, but I just lowballed them on eBay with that offer thing you can do. Got this for $200 with the thermo fans. So $200 for the thermos and the radiator. The motor itself is a BF Gassy. I swapped an RB25 head for this motor, but if you were to buy one of these on Marketplace, you're probably looking anywhere between, I want to say like $300 to $600, maybe $200 on Marketplace even, if your lowball skills are up there. I'm going to say for this video that one of these will run you $400, which I think is pretty conservative, and I don't think a lot of people can argue with that. I feel like you can get a Gassy for $400 any day of the week. So that's what I'm going to put in here. Moving over a little bit now, we have the cold side. For the most part, I felt obligated to fabricate literally everything on this car. Because I'm a fabricator, because I like to market myself as a fabricator, I wanted to make an intake for this car very badly. But this popped up on Marketplace one night, and it was too cheap to not buy. So we got the plenum, the fuel rail, and the injectors in one hit off Marketplace for $700, which is really good in my opinion. The fuel pressure reg, we had a Chinese one on it originally, which failed on the dyno. Well, it didn't fail. To give it credit, I did buy the wrong one. I bought one that was only rated for like 36 PSI of pressure. And we're running this thing at close to 50. We swapped out our Chinese one for a slightly different Chinese one, and this has been fine ever since. I don't remember how much I paid for this. I think it was like $130. The catch can was like $10 of material from the scrap bin at the local metal shop. So the throttle body, the loom, the coil packs, and the spark plugs came out of a Territory motor on Marketplace I bought for $200 and then sold for $200. So that worked out well. I think I got the pedal, yeah, I got the FG pedal and the alternator loom from a wrecker for like $30-40. The ECU is just a factory FG one. That was $50 from the wrecker. And all the lines in the car, right? So there's a lot of AN lines in here. I like AN because it's reliable. Nothing wrong with like rubber lines, except for when you go right near hot stuff. Probably wouldn't run it, but rubber lines are fantastic too at doing their job. I went AN because it looks nicer and it's cheap if you buy it all from AliExpress apparently. So we have AN catch can lines, AN fuel lines, AN power steering lines, and our AN wastegate line as well. In total, I think we spent $600 maybe on all the lines, fittings. That includes like all this, like these little weld-on things here. Basically every single line you see in this car was like $600 in total. This is our power steering cooler I was talking about before. This is a BTR transmission cooler off a Falcon. I paid for this and a second power steering pump $60 from a wrecker. We've also got a AC delete tensioner bracket thingy idler. That was $150-ish from memory. All the radiator lines in this are made out of scrap 50mm stainless that I had laying around. So we got Bill's standalone ECU kit, which comes with a fuse box to power pretty much everything. Wiring this is so simple, it's like 4 wires. So if you're doing the conversion yourself, I highly recommend just going down this route it'll save you so much time. And to some, time is money. For me, not so much. So the retail on one of these is about 1,300 bucks, which is really good in my opinion. 1,300 bucks and your car's running, it's sorted, it's done. And if you have any dramas, Bill's support is just awesome. The dude is literally a human Wikipedia for Falcon electronics. All right, so I think that covers pretty much all like the electronics, all the mechanical, pretty much all the materials, pretty much everything. So after you've done all of that, after you've got the motor in the car, you've fabricated everything, the last thing you're gonna need is a tune. In our case, we went with Series Engineering. Steele's been awesome. Even like now he's like checking in on the car and stuff. He's just a wicked dude. Anyway, 1,200 bucks was the price from Steele, which is pretty good. We wasted his time the first time round when we brought him a car that couldn't control boost. So we had to come back and he had to pull it off his dyno and put it back on the dyno, which is a pain in the ass being a hub dyno. But yeah, 1,200 bucks for your tune. I think in total we've spent maybe 10 grand doing this whole conversion, which is pretty good in my opinion. If you were to start with just like a rolling shell and you were to put an RB in your rolling shell and you had 10 grand to spend on it, you wouldn't get very far. Definitely wouldn't have anything making anything close to this sort of power. RB guys, come at me in the comments. Can't wait to hear your take on that. But even then, this car previously had an RB in it, so I sold pretty much all of the RB gear I still had left. Driveline wise, I sold the gearbox, the clutch, the block, the head was stuffed. All my bolt-ons, my Haltech, everything. I actually bought a new daily after I sold all that stuff because I just didn't want to touch this car. I was just so sick of it. 3 RBs in a year, it was just rough. So I bought a new daily instead of working on this. But then we came back and we chucked the Barrett in it. I think I decided to put a Barrett in it because it just seemed like the most logical choice. Would have loved to put a JZ in this car, but the price of a JZ nowadays is, I don't want to say it's out of reach, but I couldn't justify the cost of a JZ swap. Bang for buck, I think it's hard to argue against the Barra in this country anyway. So anyway, I think that just about covers everything that's gone into this car. I'm struggling to think of any content relating to this car. I don't really have much to do to it anymore, work-wise. I might clean up the body, but I don't even think I want to do that before the next event. There's a good chance it gets kind of beat up again. So hesitant to do that. I might start making some videos on my FC here. You probably wouldn't be able to tell, but I do love this car, even though it is grotty as hell at the moment. I don't think I've driven this in over 3 months, which is kind of sad because it is by far my favorite. And then eventually we might make some content on the Mrs. car, because this, if you can't tell, also needs some love. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. I do want to say a big thank you if you've stuck around for the 33 build series since the first episode. I can't say thank you enough. That's really awesome and I appreciate the support. All the comments I've received have just been so positive. But yeah, it's just cool. Didn't expect such a positive reaction from the community, being that I've committed sacrilege. Thank you guys for watching. I will try and make some more videos soon. We've got DriftX coming up, so I'm going to be filming that. Basically the first shakedown of the car, so definitely going to try and keep everyone posted with how it goes.